Welcome to the Digital President Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about how you can become a hit maker and transform your products and services into blockbusters that make selling superfluous. I'm Michael Reese.
And I'm Woods Davis.
And this is the Digital President Podcast.
We've cracked the code for generating customers online for every business model.
In fact, we wrote the book on it.
We've built multiple multi-million-dollar businesses in as little as 90 days. And the one truth that we discovered is
the best business model is doing what you love and living your life by strategy.
You truly can follow your passion and create the life of your dreams,
as long as you have the right strategy. All right. Yeah, man, I'm so excited about today's topic. I think it's probably one of the most valuable paradigm shifts somebody can make, especially if they're going to be making things happen online.
It's always good to be in the hit factory.
Absolutely. One of my favorite things to do, my life by strategy.
That's right. And it's kind of like we're in the Matrix because we're in the hit factory talking about how to become a hit maker. I can just see everybody up in their own personal hit factory just laying down tracks like we're about to do today.
Yeah. For those of you who've not seen the hit factory, it's we're on a couch that's so big. I'm about 6'2". How tall are you? 6'2"?
6'1".
Okay, I thought you were taller than me. Yeah. But your feet can't hit. It's a big restoration leather couch that your feet can't even touch the floor. You're just in your zone, in your space. And we said selling superfluous. That's an old Peter Drucker saying. And for those of you who are like me that didn't know what that meant, it means pointless. You know, when your stuff is so good. I know the story about Elon Musk. You know, he laid off a lot of salespeople over at Solar City, I believe, when Tesla took him over.
Yeah.
And his reasoning for doing that was what?
The product should sell itself.
It should.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. If he's taking solar to the rooftop, from the ugly solar panels to the beautiful solar roof, where it's
No. You said that wrong. The solar shingle.
Ah, the solar shingle. I like that.
Yeah, it ain't the ugly big thing just on your roof. You can't even see it. I mean, he created that's a hit maker mindset. He differentiated the whole game. He created a whole new category. Not only did he crush the shingle with the lifetime guarantee, he disrupted the solar and the shingle. The roofers didn't even know they were under attack.
Right. You know, the writing's on the wall there because when your product is so good, it literally will sell itself. You transcend everybody else in the marketplace.
And I call that being a chart topper, just so you know. He's going to the top of the charts. And for those of you people who are new to the Digital President Podcast, Digital President is something you become by having a mindset just to produce so much value in the marketplace. And it's not about what you become. That is something that's out of your control. It's like in a football game. The score of the game is based upon how much effort the other team put into practicing, paying attention to the basics. I mean, so many great games have been lost from fumbles or interceptions. And so, you know, a digital president is someone in their marketplace that has transcended. People know that their products are hits. They don't even have to think about it. I mean, kind of like Elon. I mean, if he puts out something, you just know it's a hit.
Yeah,
and it's a hit, and with a clearly differentiated message. And what I want to say is that people got to understand, if you're going to be a hit maker, you have to be solving a real problem and solve it in a way that really, really makes everything from that moment on in your life infinitely easier. It wasn't a one-hit wonder. We call those people, you know, Carnival Marketers, people who go to the marketplace and produce something of low value, like, hey, here's 3 balls and try to knock over these 8 milk jugs that, you know, only 1 in 25 people will ever knock over, and I'll give you, you know, a stuffed animal that will be worth crap, you know what I mean?
Right.
In 2 weeks. And so the mindset shift here is you want to produce real value in the marketplace. And I know for me and you, Woods, you know, first of all, I want to talk a little bit about creating real value. Sometimes you create value just so the people listening understand. Think about value that's been created for you. Some of the most valuable things that have been for me, Woods, has been like somebody giving me something so simple of a way of thinking differently so that I could produce value quicker. So I'll never forget a guy that was a mentor of mine. He gave me a template. He gave me a framework for doing something that I had done that might have taken me, I don't know, a couple days to work on. And he gave me the ability to not only have more awareness on what I was doing, because he gave me the principles, and he gave me, it was a product, but looking back, that one little thing allowed me to do what it was I was trying to do. He removed the constraints in my life of producing value in the marketplace for the people that I was serving. And so, it's not always just the product and the result, it's the framework. And I say that because think about writing a book, man. Like, I can help somebody. My dad was here yesterday. He wants to write a book.
I saw the notes and the diagrams up on the wall.
Yeah. So I took him in there. We were watching the OU game. He came in the room, and I was like trying to give him a framework. Blew his mind. He's been over at his house spending weeks trying to get this stuff on paper. I gave him one of our templates, one of our frameworks. He literally said to me, I would have been writing books 20 years ago if somebody would have gave that to me.
Right.
And so did it produce the book? No. What it did was it removed the constraint. It gave him time.
Gave him leverage.
And that in itself was extremely valuable. I felt like I literally gave him time back, which was amazing. So think about, producing value. And I want you, for those of you who want to have a hit maker mindset, the real mindset is starting to look at the other person's point of view. That's probably the number one art. So for me, I always think about, man, every time I touch a product, every time I do something. So an example would be if you've ever seen a movie and then it had a trilogy and you didn't watch, any of the other ones because the first one wasn't good. Or imagine a movie you watch over and over and over and wish there was a trilogy, right? Like that would be something that would be a hit maker or a blockbuster. And the reason I would say that is, for me, it's art of flight. Me and Woods and something that I really enjoy doing is going snowboarding. I mean, it's one of those places that I have such a high level of desire that I would buy a new snowboard every year, bindings every year, shirts every year. Even though I don't need them, I would buy them because it's my desire. I love it. It's what I want to do. And so anyone that delivers me value in that way is like, or even my friends. I mean, I have an affinity with certain friends who enjoy doing that. But the point I want to share with you is there was a movie that one of my really good buddies shared with me called The Art of Flight. And it was by a guy named Travis Rice. Travis Rice is an amazing snowboarder. But what Travis did, that there had been snowboard movies made year after year, snowboarder after snowboarder, but nobody had ever done it like Travis Rice. I think he used Brain Farm Productions, off the top of my head, which was founded by a guy who had hurt his back being a professional snowboarder, so I had a great appreciation for the angles and the production, but can no longer ride really hard. And Travis Rice, man, he'll just go straight down a cliff. And they created one of the most engaging documentaries about snowboarding that was produced. The production level was used with this camera called a red camera, which shot in slow-mo. So you would literally see these Red Bull helicopters coming off the mountain, doing nosedives while the blades were like barely moving. It was amazing production with like the moon in the background. They would go to Patagonia and places. They went to places that have never been visited by man. Like they went and they videoed the whole thing. They just did it to another level. And that was a hit. I watch it every year. I watch it sometimes 2 or 3 times a year. I've told 50 people about it. I'm telling everybody about it right now. Why? Because they delivered. They delivered the promise based upon the marketplace. And that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of other snowboard movies out there. I can't tell you one's name. I could never watch, even though I have the same passion, the same desire, but they didn't nail it. They didn't deliver this at the same level as Travis. And that was always something when I think about creating a hit. I think about, man, it's not about having 10 products, 10 SKUs. We could tell the whole Steve Jobs story there. It's about nailing a problem and doing it in a way that nobody else has done it. And that, man, that's what gets me up in the morning.
Well, it has transformational power. When you deliver a product and deliver that much value, you really change somebody's life. Let me ask you a question. On your playlist that you listen to when you're snowboarding, do you have music from that movie? on your playlist.
Absolutely. They nailed the music.
Nailed the soundtrack.
And music is a big part of snowboarding.
Right. So they thought of the consumer's experience from top to bottom, from every angle, beyond a movie, right? When you really become a hit maker, you start to form a bond and relationship, deep relationships with your customers and your clients because of the value exchange that's happening back and forth.
So let me give you some of my just high level what I would have done different if I was Travis Rice. I mean, he created a hit, but he didn't, think about like the Mayweather fight with Conor McGregor. They nailed the online community. UFC did, actually. UFC was putting out videos behind the scenes. You could watch videos, but the behind the scenes videos, you could actually hear Conor McGregor on the UFC site. I remember being like, I'm going to go to the UFC site because you told me, man, did you hear what he said? I was like, no. He said, and the new. He was telling him he was going to pounce heads off the canvas or whatever. But you got the insight. They gave you a behind the scenes pass. What Travis could have done when he came out with the next one, which I think it was called like Elements or something. I forget what the name was, but the point was this entire time there's no community online. He put out content that I consumed, okay? And that was great. He created a hit. But the value he could have captured was way more beyond than the value captured. It's like Mayweather going from being a fighter to being the producer of the production of the show, right? When he became the producer and the production of the event, he transcended just being a person that was part of a system that put on an event. He was the boxer. Now he's the producer. Same thing with Oscar De La Hoya. And the game changed for them when Showtime. There's a story about when Showtime gave Floyd Mayweather literally 24 hours unrestricted access to their camera crew, and they went and shot videos of him just living. And now those are in sports, behind the scenes reality shows, getting into the life of those people. That wasn't really normal. They transcended the behind the scenes content that got consumed that made you feel like you were living with them. And so if you really want to have that hitmaker mindset and transcend to be the undisputable, like Floyd Mayweather is the digital president of the boxing game.
For sure.
He's the person. He took it to another level, not just producing or being part of the production. Travis Rice was riding snowboards really well, but he could have taken it to another level. He could have had, what he could have done is he could have actually created a shirt like Money Mayweather did. He could have created a community like Money Mayweather did. He could have communicated to that community through a language and through a way and a methodology that allowed those people that already demonstrated that they were like him. They had the same interest as him. And he could have continued to build on that authority to a point where that people in that community, it would transcend his only ability to produce content. It would be me and some guy who felt like, we were a part of something. Maybe when I was in Aspen, I see a guy's shirt and I go ride with him because I realize that we're like-minded because of a connection that we were able to identify that was produced by Travis Rice. And so it's not about just making hits. It's how you strategically do it in a way that creates an outcome where you become the unspoken dominant person of value creation in your marketplace. And so, I love the whole concept, but you have to not only leverage celebrity, but you got to build authority, you got to build influence, and I think it becomes from being preeminent. That's something that Jay Abraham taught me and you, and the people that I've worked with over the years have adapted this preeminent mindset. How to become preeminent in your marketplace. I think a hit maker has to have that because if they're not the only choice, then they're not really going to. If you don't become the only choice, I know when I think of something, when I think of a running shoe, I don't think of 10 brands. I think of one brand. Now, if I walk into that store, it's the other brand's responsibility to try to get my attention, and they got to do that by doing something. The shoe I wear right now got my attention, and I got my attention by seeing other people wear it. And other people wear it that were achieving the things that I want. I was influenced by influencers that were representing. You know what I mean? And so that's just what I think that you got to remember is the people who become who take your products, they become influencers of other people who have the same problems that need the same solutions, are looking for the same value, are trying to solve or get around the same obstacles. They have the same desired outcome. My desired outcome was to be able to run far, and when I saw people that were running 100 miles in a 24-hour period, and they had a certain shoe on, and my shoe at 20 miles, my feet were hurting. I was wondering what shoes were they wearing, right?
Right, absolutely.
And you know what? They could not only tell me what shoes, they could tell me why the shoes. And I could go to the website and I could consume content that could clearly differentiate why their shoes solved the problem to my shoes. And it was just interesting. Now I see it everywhere.
So I'm thinking about everybody who's on this podcast. Most people have products, services, businesses. Where do you think is a good starting point for people?
I believe the number one and only place to start is you have to become obsessed. I think professional. So we were talking, me, my dad, and my father-in-law, we're talking about a guy who, is it Stephen Curry? He has two brothers, and they're all three in the NBA. Did you know that? One plays for the Mavericks. Okay? Listen to this. This was my dad. They were talking about another guy who played in the NBA who just produced two NBA players and a third one coming out of high school. And you know what the dad says?
What?
I got a system for this.
That's right.
He got a system. He's got a system for all three of his kids going to be getting the NBA too. You know why? Because he got a system. He got a mindset, and the mindset is the effort that they put in to produce the result that they're trying to. They know the sacrifice that it takes. Listen, a mindset is that you will do anything that needs to be done in order to achieve the desired outcome of the customer, not the desired outcome to make a dollar. That's the difference. You have to be obsessed on making sure that you delivered the value that you communicated you were going to deliver. And if you're really obsessed, you're so fanatical about that process that you stack the value way beyond so it can't even be questioned. That's where you start.
Well, when I think about, just like you were saying, having a system for this, being completely obsessed about delivering the value and delivering the result to your clients and your customers, you have to sit down and take the time to think about their entire journey, the value journey, their customer journey, the path to go from where they currently are to where they want to be, and literally determine all the milestones, all the stages that they would go through. Then you can intelligently dissect everything that you can do to add value to them all along their journey. It's like holding their hand throughout the process to help them get there. And the trick is to do that without even asking them for $1 before you start helping them and before you start adding value to them. Think about when you're trying to accomplish a really high level goal and a mentor or somebody has taken you and said, hey, let me show you what you need to do right now. Let me show you the tools that you need to use. Here's what I do. Here's the template that you need to fill out. Here's the plan that you need to follow. Here's all of the things that I did in order to achieve the result that you want. Just sitting down and really thinking through that process, start to finish, what we call the value journey, man, it makes all the difference in the world because now you have a plan. You have a plan to be able to deliver that value and help somebody go from where they are to where they want to be.
I agree. And I think what you said there for people to understand is you originally set that out by thinking from one person's point of view so that you can document it. But what I think you have to do is, and that's the goal, if you heard what Wood said, is you want to be able to deliver value, as much value as you possibly can to one person. The transition that I realized was when you want to do that to as many people as possible. And so I'll never forget in 2010, I have the notes on my desk. We just moved offices, and on my desk was notes from 2010 conference, and it said a book is just it talked about a book, and it talked about being the number one way to communicate your value, right? And it was talking about different things as it related to value. It really said a book was a long form sales copy is what it said. And I had never really thought of it that way. And when you're trying to communicate benefits, problems, situations, and stuff to that nature, the book absolutely allows you to scale your communication of your value. You cannot scale the value that you communicate any easier way. And I'm sharing this because for me, Woods, a hit maker is willing to do what it takes. I remember listening to an hour phone call, right? A 1 hour phone call with somebody who was trying to communicate the value. And I was wanting to intersect and I was wanting to interject and I was wanting to, it was a guy who was trying to communicate my value to the consumer for me. And he wasn't saying it just like I would. And I remember having this aha moment and saying, I remember Chet Holmes, who was no longer with us, Ultimate Sales Machine. He was talking about the 1 million person sales force, and he was talking about direct mail. And I had done really good with direct mail. Direct mail was how you could communicate a value proposition to many, many people, right? And I thought, man, I had these two things lingering. I was scared. I didn't know how, but I knew in my heart of hearts that I would need to one day write a book. I had written a book before, but it was like a chapter in a book, and it was done for all the wrong reasons and no harm, no foul. I didn't really create any value in the marketplace, nor did I capture any value for my purpose. I really just felt like I was spitting in the ocean, so to speak. But when I really thought about the intention, the real intention of value creation, my mind opened up and I was like, oh my gosh, oh my goodness. And I'll tell you what, man, the biggest constraint that I had, I believe now, from my point of view, I'm just sharing this, I believe that if you want to create value in the marketplace, think about you as a person right now in your business, and you have a customer that wants to get somewhere, and you know where that is, and you know you can help them get there because you have a methodology, you have a philosophy, you have a way of making decisions at every milestone along the way, and you can communicate that to them, right? The question is how are you going to communicate that to them? Your goal should be, if it's really going to create value for people, I don't think that there's any other better way on the planet than to sit down and take the time to write a book. And here's why. Because think about it this way. Knowing when you were in their shoes, what do you wish somebody would have told you so that you could have collapsed time? So that you could have collapsed time and got to the value quicker or created the value for your marketplace quicker. So my mental model, Woods, is you want to write the book that you wish someone would have written for you, because that's really your way of delineating or distilling down what is value, what value you can create in the marketplace. And when you look at it from that point of view, people are going to say, well, I can't write a book. Man, I took my dad, asked him 25 questions. He had 4 chapters right there. I mean, it was amazing some of the stories he was telling me. But that's how people learn, is through stories. Who's paid more, entertainers or teachers?
Entertainers.
And those are stories. And so people want to learn, but they also want to be entertained. And I like to say, if you can win the crowd, you can win your freedom, right? You got to be entertaining along the way at getting that job done, and do it in a way that really creates hits in your marketplace and positions you, and you're going to do it in a way that you're going to continue to make hits. I think Seth Godin was, I read one of his books a long time ago, and it said something like, we don't try to find customers for our products. I like to find products for my customers. And the thing is that at the core, you are building an audience of people first before you're building products. Being a hit maker is that mindset of understanding what those audiences' needs are, their problems, their challenges. I mean, I like to think about if I was interviewing from the principle of thinking of that one person in my audience, right? When a singer sings a song, if he's good, he's singing to one person. Mm-hmm. They can feel it. Like they can feel that emotion, that transformation. For us guys, we're passionate about serving a community of people that want and know that there's more out there for them. They want to build an audience. They want to create a community. They want to create products. They know that they can solve problems. They might have already even solved them. They know that they can create value. And so at the end of the day, if you haven't had a chance, you need to go and read the Hit Maker Manifesto, because it is a roadmap. It is a checklist. It is everything you need to do in order to adapt what I would say is the philosophy about winning before you start. And it really does. Your question originally is, where do you start? You start in the mindset. And one little question, if you're in learner mode right now, if you're in the mode of, man, what could I do different? Where am I wrong? Because at the end of the day, if you're not getting everything you want out of your current life or business, you simply haven't learned something yet. One little shift in the way that you think. Jay Abraham was that guy for me that made the light go off for me, which was, just trying to create value for one person and learning how to do that for as many people as possible. It's that combination. And so, you should go check out the website, digitalpresident.com. You should, if you haven't read the manifesto, read that. That really is at the core, I believe, in my opinion, of the mindset and the shifts and the steps you need to make in your business. And it's a roadmap, man. It's a roadmap that I believe anybody, honestly, anybody can get to where they want, at least to 5 million. You can get to 5 million with really only one funnel that's designed, like you were saying, Woods, which is designed around the customer journey with the consumer's mind of what they value and really creating value. And if you really distill that all down to the one thing that you need to do, it simply comes down to you being able to communicate to somebody, how they can go from where they are to where they want to be, and doing it in a way that you're actually helping, serve a market where there's a real desire and there's real pain that you can prevent, or that you can help. At least I like it when you say be in the business of providing painkillers, right? Because there's way more opportunity in that business. And it's just those little shifts. For me, there's little things. I think about what that guy's, if I interviewed his wife, what would she tell me? Would she tell me would she tell me he's tired of this, that, and the other? Where's he exhausted? What's the rocks in his shoes? So go get the manifesto, download it. It'll give you the mental models and the framework from taking where you want to go in your life, and it'll allow you to collapse time, because it'll give you the ability not only to demonstrate and communicate and document and articulate your value, but it'll also give you the ability to do it and give you a proven method for delivering and scaling the value that you create in a way where it can actually be consumed, which we like to call, which is the methodology of leverage consumption. Because listen, guys, content, all these people that say content is king, that's great, but it's really consumption is king. And Peter Drucker, the dean of if you haven't read anything on Peter Drucker, he is one of the core grandfathers of business. He says, great marketing, great sales just make bad products fail faster. You have to start with being fanatical and obsessed about creating great products. And at the root of that, it's by solving real world problems for a community. And I think it's doing it in a way which is aligned to your passion.
When you use this system, when you adopt this mindset and you do this for one product and you're building that audience in one market, you're going to learn really quickly that you can do this over and over and over again. And that is when you really have become a hit maker. Your audience is waiting for your next album to drop. They're waiting for your next hit to be produced. And it's why authors become prolific. It's why you'll see book upon book upon book released from Michael and I, because we have learned this system. We believe this system. We're building the audience just like you should. And it's just a really fun process too when you get obsessed about solving problems and you discover a system that allows you to transfer that value over to your clients and your customers in a really powerful way. It's probably one of the most rewarding things that you can do, not only financially, but personally as well. You get a lot of fulfillment from the process. So definitely go check out the Hit Maker Manifesto. You can get it at digitalpresident.com. And always, always remember, make your content so valuable
that your audience will pay you with their attention.